even when we know our times tables, sometimes it's difficult to multiply bigger numbers, what we call multi-digit numbers. So today we're going to use a method called box multiplication, which is going to make it a little bit easier to multiply those bigger numbers. So there's a couple of things that we need to know. We need to know how to expand numbers. So we're going to take this one step at a time, and we're going to do 3 problems together. The first one we're going to do is going to be 3 times 42. And what we're going to do, it's called box multiplication. So we're going to draw a box. And this box we're going to use as our multiplication matrix. And we're going to put our multiplication sign here. And we're going to put 3 times. Now, here's where we're going to expand. We're going to take 42, and using our knowledge of place value, we should know that 42 is equal to 40 plus 2. And 40 plus 2 is our expanded form. So I'm going to put here, and since I made this way too close, I'm going to put it in a different color. So I'm going to put 40 plus 2. Because when we multiply multi-digit numbers, where it's actually more than one multiplication problem, and each of the answers is going to be what we call a partial product. So let's see what that looks like. So we're going to first multiply, using this matrix, 3 times 40. The way that we're going to do that is we're just going to count the number of zeros in both factors. And in this case, 40 has 1 0, 3 has none. So there's 1 0. We're going to put that in our box. And then 3 times 4 is 12. Then we're going to go over to our next box, and we're going to multiply 3 times 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. Each of these, 120 and 6, excuse me, is what we call a partial product. Partial meaning a part of the total answer. And so in order to get our answer, we're going to have to add both of these. Okay, so we're going to have to add 120, which is the product of 40 times 3, and 6, which is the product of 2 times 3. So our answer is going to be 126. Okay, now that might seem a little simple, so we're going to do another problem which is a little more difficult. Now we're going to do, let's make a different color for a little variety. Let's do 23 times 56. Okay, now you'll notice that each of these numbers has 2 digits, so I'm going to have to make a 2 by 2 matrix. And it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit longer of a process, but it's going to be just as easy with each step. So multiplication sign over here. We're going to expand 23, so that's going to be 20 plus 3. 56 is 50 plus 6. All right, now let's take a look at this. So our first box, 20 and 50 each have a 0. That's a total of 2 zeros. And now I'm just going to multiply 2 times 5, and that's going to give me 10. All right, now 50 times 3, well, 50 has 1 0, so let's put that 0. And then 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, now let's go back to the first column, and now we're going to multiply 6 times 20, and you can do these in any order. So 6 times 20, 20 has a 0, and then 6 times 2 is 12. And then we're going to move to our last box, no zeros for either 6 or 3. 6 times 3 is 18. And again, just like in the first example, we're going to have to add all 4 of these partial products together. I lined up my numbers so that I am going to add the boxes in the column under 20. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. And you'll see that the addition here is really kind of simple too. And then 1 plus 0 is 1, right? Because there's nothing here, so we kind of think of it as 0. Now, next column, 0 plus 8 is 8. 5 plus 1 is 6. And then 1 plus, again, there's nothing here. So that's going to be 1. And then you see this plus sign up here? I have to bring it down, which means I have to add these two numbers. Now, I'm going to add them on the side so that I can line them up and make it easier for myself. 168. Okay, 0 plus 8 is 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 1 plus 0 is 1. And so that is my final product. Okay, now let's do one that's even a little bit more advanced. Let's do a 3-digit number and a 2-digit number. So let's do 147 times 83. And it looks kind of daunting. It's like, ugh, who wants to do this? But again, when we break it down, you're going to see that each piece is not difficult. And then in the final step, all we're doing is adding. And you guys all know how to add. All right, so let's see what we can do here. We're going to do 147 across. Now, let's think about this because it's a little different. Because this is a 3-digit number. And so when we expand it, this 1 in 147 represents 100. So this is 100 plus 40 plus 7. And you kind of get that by just saying the number, 147. All right, and now let's expand the 83. And again, just say that to yourself, right? So 80 plus 3. All right, and now let's do our multiplication. First box, we have 80 times 100. Together, they have 3 zeros. 2 from the 100, 1 from the 80. And then 8 times 1 is, oops, let's make this a little bit. Okay, 8. All right, now let's move over, and now we're going to multiply 80 times 40. They each have 1 0. And 8 times 4 is 32. And now let's move across to 80 times 7. The 80 has 1 0. And now 8 times 7 is 56. Now again, you do have to know your times tables to do this. Okay, now let's move down under the 8,000. So the 100 has the 2 zeros, and I'm going to try to line them up. And then 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, 40 times 3. The 40 has a 0. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And then 3 times 7 for the last box. 3 times 7 is 21. So now I'm going to add my columns. So first I'm going to add 8,000 plus 300, which you probably already know is 8,300. And then 0 plus 0 is 0. And then 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And 3. And then going to the last column, 0 plus 1 is 1. 6 plus 2 is 8. And then we have the 5. And these again are going to be added together. All right, so let's do that down here. And we have 8,300 plus 3,320. And we're going to add 581. Okay, let's do this. So we have 0, 0. We have 1. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry the 1. And then we have 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 3 is 7. And 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. And 8 plus 3 is 11. Plus 1 is 12. So our answer is 12,201. All right. And so that does make it a little bit easier. Okay. If we were to do this without our boxes, it would be, let's see, let me make this a little smaller. 147 times 83. 147 times 83. We still have to deal with partial products. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 fours are 12, 13, 14. And 3 ones are 3, 4. And put the 0 to hold the place. 8 sevens are 56. 8 fours are 32. And 5 is 37. And 8 ones are 8. And 3 is 11. We get 1. 4 plus 6 is 0. With carrying the 1 because it's 10. 7 and 5 is 12. 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, and there we go. All right, so if you're having trouble multiplying multi-digit numbers, try the box method first. And then once you feel comfortable with it, then and only then can you move to our regular way of using this. And again, each of these is a partial product. Okay, so I hope that's helpful for you. I know that when I was first introduced to this method, I really, really liked it, especially because zeros are easy to work with, and each of these boxes, as you can see, we're just adding and working with a lot of zeros.